Hello, welcome to our channel. In this video, we will talk about quadratic equations. We will try to explain why these equations are called quadratic equations. And then we will look at an example of why we need to be able to solve quadratic equations. So here is the general form of a quadratic equation. It looks like ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, c are real numbers. So a, b, c are any real numbers. And we require that a is not equal to 0. Because if a is equal to 0, then that term goes away, ax squared, and we are left with just bx plus c. That will make it not quadratic. For example, we can have 2x squared plus 3x plus 10 equals 0. This is a quadratic equation. In this case, a is 2, b is 3, and c is 10. If we compare this equation with the given standard form. As another example, we can have negative 20x squared plus 10x minus 5 equals 0. In this case, we have a equals negative 20, b equals 10, and c equals negative 5. And sometimes these equations may be given in a little different form. For example, we may have something like 2x equals x squared minus square root of 3. If you have something like this, then you can write this in the standard form, in the given form. So basically, you can subtract x squared from both sides. That will give you negative x squared on this side. Then you have positive 2x as it is over here. And you can add square root of 3 to both sides. So we get square root of 3 over here equals 0. So this has exactly the given form. So in this case, a is negative 1, the coefficient of x squared. B is 2, the coefficient of x, and c is the constant term, which is square root of 3. So these are some examples of quadratic equation. Now the question is why these are called quadratic equation, or how did they get the name quadratic? So let's try to answer that next. So this word quadratic comes from Latin word quadratum, which simply means square. Now, how is this equation connected with square? A square is an object like this one. If you have sides x like this, then the area is simply x squared. And this equation, a quadratic equation, has x squared term over here. So that's why we call these equations quadratic, because it is connected with square, which is quadratum in Latin. So that's why these are called quadratic equations. Now, a deeper question is, why do we need to know how to solve these equations? Here is an example to demonstrate that. So we have a rectangular field that has length 3 feet more than the width, and the diagonal is given to be 100 feet. So we want to find the length and width of the field. So let's first draw the field. It's a rectangle like this one. So I can denote the width by x, because that is what we need to find. And it says the length is 3 feet more than the width. So the length must be 3 plus x. Now someone measured the diagonal and they found that diagonal is 100 feet. So this is 100 feet. Goal is to find length and width. If we can find a relation between 3 plus x, 100, and x, then we can write an equation and then solve that equation. So let's see how that equation looks like. We know that this side is also x. So if you look at this triangle here, so this is a right angle triangle. So we can use the Pythagorean theorem, which means the sum of square of two smaller sides will be the square of the longer side, the diagonal in this case. So we get an equation like this one. If we simplify this little further, 3 plus x squared, if we expand that, it will be 9 plus 6x plus x squared equals 100 square is 10,000. And we can simplify all of this a little bit further. So x squared plus x squared is 2x squared plus 6x as it is. And we can subtract 10,000 from both sides. That will give us 9 minus 10,000 on the left, which will be negative 9,991 equals 0 on this side. So this is a nice quadratic equation. So if we can solve this, then we have the value of x, and that will give us the width and the length. So in a lot of practical situations and applications, we come up with this sort of quadratic equations, which we need to be able to solve to figure out certain dimensions and other quantities. So the immediate question here is, how can we solve an equation like this one? Basically, how can you figure out the value of x from an equation like this one? For that, we have several methods. These are some of the methods we will look at in our next few videos. We will look at the method of factoring, how we can use factoring to solve quadratic equations. We will look at the method of completing square, and we will look at the quadratic formula. All right, so this is all we have put together in this video. See you in our next videos.